Oh my goodness, why is it so hot? Why is there a heat wave in the UK? I can't get to sleep, my Vaporeon is cooking, and the pigeons that keep stealing our tomato seeds are catching fire. Please make it stop, I can't handle. Wait a second, I'm using Vegas, I think I can actually fix this up. Bear with. Ah, there we go. Also, I refuse to record this entire section with the Drought theme. I hate that song so much. I'll point something else from Gen 3 to play though in the background. Anyway, hello everybody and welcome to episode 33 of the Train Sim News Show. We've got both good stuff and bad stuff to talk about today, as well as the promised workshop showcase later on. However, I can tell at least, 18, 19 of you can't be bothered to listen to what is essentially, you know, roses are red, violets are blue, the community sucks, but what else is new? You know, that kind of kerfuffle. So if you just want to see the workshop stuff, click on the demo. Oh wait, I can't do annotations anymore. Go to the time code I'm going to show up on the screen right now. Too slow. Right, let's jump into the news. Fellow drivers in Portsmouth. Are you fed up of not being able to fit a 12-car train in Portsmouth Harbour Station? Well, Dovetail have finally patched this by an entirely new extension of the Portsmouth Direct Line, finally extending the line from Woking all the way to London Waterloo, or to my American viewers, London Waterloo. It's water, not water. Anyway, this is a pretty bad route if you ask me. I've tried to make a few scenarios and I did make that driver's eye video a while ago, but it's not really worth my time anymore. Or at all, to be completely honest. Look how crude and awful some of these areas look, like the Nine Elms flyover that was used by Eurostar. The sounds of the trains are reused, which means Class 350 sounds for the 450 and 444. Oh, just what I was asking for. I know the models look nice, and I know Southwest Trains 4558 is nice as well. What's that? It has the same physics as the Southern Class 455? You know, the one that accelerates as fast as this? Oh joy! Oh joy. And not to mention, I just came to my mind right now, why didn't they add the 455 where it has the Voslov traction equipment? Because, you know, it obviously sounds different, but it accelerates smoother and has better braking because it's now dynamic, I think, or is it rheostatic? One of the two. But it's not exactly just, you know, an audible difference, there's driving difference as well. Hello, Missed Opportunity! How are you doing? Gotta wait for that 455 enhancement pack that has motors actually recorded properly from a 455. LOL, XDDDDD. Also, Warpleston still looks like crap. Thank you so much. The only good thing about this route, in my opinion, is the Portsmouth area. Except Fratton, but, you know, my footbridge. Also, Godalming suffers from that as well. But yeah, Portsmouth and Southsea and Portsmouth Harbour look great. Sort of, if we ignore the track at Portsmouth Harbour in the middle of the station, but shh, don't tell them. But as far as I'm concerned, couldn't give a toss. I mean, it's nice I can go to Waterloo, but not with 5,000 on the asset count. Oh, one last thing which I thought was pretty funny. The release date of this route was on Friday the 13th. Which, I don't believe in that superstition, but considering how laggy and unstable this route is, it couldn't have been released on a more perfect date. Moving on to something good now. And I do mean it, something really good. Mr. Darren of Porter has revised and revamped his website. So now it no longer takes 5 years to open up one page. That's nice. Normally I wouldn't bring this up, but he's also started to do a sort of timetable archive drive thing, where, as the name implies, he's archiving a bunch of old and even current timetables for scenario makers to utilise to help make their scenarios, or even older scenarios from the past. He even had some of the old Arriva Trains Wales and Borders timetables, the ones that went into Waterloo. I'm really shocked that he found them on a digital format, let alone found them at all. I thought they were cast and exiled, but no, they exist, and thank you, it's nice to read a bit of nostalgia. I don't know if random people in the community are able to contribute, it's best to ask him, because if you have a bunch of old timetables lying around, may be a good idea to chip in and see if you can help. I'll link to his sort of contact web form thing in the description, as well as the timetable archive, of course. There's quite a few of them, and it's obviously currently still work in progress, and I think will continue to be work in progress for the foreseeable future. But hey, I think it's a fantastic idea, and that's not as a joke. I really seriously mean it this time. I like it. If only I could like this, though. So Mr. Armstrong and the Powerhouse clan have made a brand new enhancement pack for you to enjoy. Soon. No, it's the track enhancement pack. What this adds is essentially 3D track, improved visuals for the 2D wooden track. The ballast ground textures actually match, and you get 2 variants of that, which is nice. And seamless junction transitions. Oh, and a brand new third rail model as well, which is nice. They have a comparison shot for what it looks like before and after, and you can see the difference for yourself, but the more I look at this image, the more I can see that poorly cropped foliage to the side. Okay, but back on topic, sorry. It's compatible with 27 routes, and I'm going to get onto that in a second, but what do I think of this overall? Well, firstly, thanks to that middle finger £7 price tag, I'll tell you this right now, it's not worth £7. Because, let's be honest here, this is just DB Tracks but the Armstrong Powerhouse version, and DB Tracks is free. And it uses the same sort of 3D effect. The German side of the train sim community have been doing it for years. What makes you guys so special? Ooh, but we made it compatible with 27 routes. Yeah, of which only one of them is a Just Trains route, and even then, it's a Just Trains route that nobody uses! Nobody uses Bristol to Exeter! It's a route that has been superseded by Just Trains. Twice! It is a route that is so obsolete, it still mentions Railworks 2 in the manual. Regarding the other routes it applies to, well, I think they're good enough choices. I think this sort of track modification, I'm not calling it an enhancement pack, just track modification, I think it suits better on the crap routes, or at least the routes with the bad track texture, like the North Wales coastal, the South Wales coastal. Imagine if there was a Central Wales coastal, I think it'd suit well on that. Also, obviously, London to Brighton, London to Faversham, etc, etc. I didn't think it was necessary for East Coast Main Line South, or even Liverpool to Manchester, because I thought those routes had fairly decent track textures. I really don't think it fits the latter either, because that route relies on lots of viaducts and embankments, which this obviously doesn't apply to. But hey, even if I don't like it, that's not going to stop you from getting it. Well, I mean, I don't like the DBSO, and that apparently sold well, so go figure. It's there if you want it. I think the price is a bit of a rip-off. Let's move on to the meat of what everyone was waiting for. The Workshop Showcase. For those of you who need a refresher on what happens here, the Steam Workshop Showcase is where I basically take a look at some random routes that you can get from the Steam Workshop for Train Simulator. As I said before, they're all original creations and not just extensions of previous routes. I'm sorry to those who wanted me to look at Suburban Glasgow, but it's tied to the West Coast Main Line. So if I was going to look at Suburban Glasgow, I'm going to look at the West Coast Main Line as well. It's kind of hard to segregate it, because where do you cut it off? If you want to look at these routes for yourselves, they're linked in the description of the video. But without further ado, let's take a look at what the Steam Workshop for Train Simulator offers us today. I really wanted to like this route. It's an interesting network sort of subway route that's inspired by the Glasgow subway, I guess. But what throws me off about this route so much is the pitiful track laying and signalling. I'm just going to throw it out here, it's some of the worst I've ever seen on the game, and that's coming from somebody who's used the original Marsdenshire, and it's a real shame, since, again, I quite like the concept. There has been an attempt, I'll give it that, but not an attempt that's enough to satisfy me, I'm afraid. Still, mind you, the BR474 works quite well on this route, and it's a decent test bed for Just Trains' London Underground assets. Other than that, it's really hard to recommend this, I'm afraid. Well, this route looks pretty okay if you ask me. Trains like the Class 158 and 150 and a bit of the 175 personally work the best for me on this route. There are some views and stations I quite like, such as the ones I'm showing on screen right now. Signalling could use a bit of work in some places. I know it's a fictional route, but, you know, it's just something I like to look for. The route's harmless enough, and I can make use of it. It used to crash a lot, but I think that was because I was editing from the quick drive and the game didn't like that. Still, I think it's okay. Nice small little route to drive on. That at least goes to the seaside. Well, I must have missed some sort of build your route in 5 minutes competition, because this route would definitely get, bronze in that? Only got about 4 stations and questionable signalling. There's also this Class 47 suspended in animation, probably leading to the Shadow Realm or something. I'd probably end the route segment here. However, this route has the best set piece on anything created in Train Simulator. Not even the Worry lines could match this. Never before seen in Train Sim, this route features Mr. Volcano!
Hello, Tyrannosaurus Alan. I'm filling my water with volcanicity.
Oh, it's good to see you, George. How you doing? The birds doing well?
Birds! Tasty water, original, and sugar-free.
Provide me with some free volcanicity so I can remove this route from my computer, dear goodness. I know I could make a SpongeBob joke, but it's a workshop route, and it's fictional, and it counts. So, I'll be right back then.
Бочка, басс, колбасит соло, колбасер по пояс голый. Колбасер по пояс голый. Бочка, басс, колбасит соло. Бочка, басс, колбасит соло.
Why did it just phase through the crowd? Well, apparently this route is Australian in origin. Well, it's a fictional route that takes place in Australia. Now, I'm not saying this as if it's a problem. No, not at all. That's even better. However, I will need to adjust the video very slightly so that my Australian viewers can properly watch the video without any issues whatsoever. Regardless, this route is very expansive if you ask me. You get lots of route mileage, quite a lot of scenery detail as well. For example, the coal mines. To be honest, I quite like this route. I don't think I'd use it all the time, and, signalling looks okay enough. Not perfect, but hey, I'm not complaining too much. I mean, I can at least drive from A to B. The only problem I have with this route is, there's not really any Australian content to use. Okay, the route has AWS, so I guess you could run anything with AWS along the route and have it work fine. But, what can you say? It's about 98 miles end to end, and I do want to apologise if the footage doesn't look as good as some of the pictures do. It's because I don't have all the assets. Some of them are American, so yeah, that speaks for itself. But I like it. I think it's alright. Better built than the Western main lines, though that's not really saying much. I've seen a lot of people use this route on the Steam Workshop. It seems to be one of the more popular user-created routes on the Train Sim Workshop. Do I think it's amazing? No, I think it's alright. I can at least see why people would get a good use out of it. It's sort of non-linear. The shape of the route is essentially a circle, and there are 2 major terminus on each end of the circle. That's basically one way to put it. The longer way around the circle is unelectrified, and the shorter way around the circle is electrified, but again, shorter. There are the odd few fast line areas as well, and the time period of the route, I guess you could get away with BR Blue, Intercity, sort of around that time. I'm not sure Network Southeast fits, though I have at least tried myself. Making a scenario on this route is, in my opinion, the worst bit about it. None of the portals are named properly, and seeing Portal 76 just makes me shake my head in shame and going, oh no, how am I supposed to memorise all this? Some areas the signals are just way too close to each other to at least be, vaguely believable. And sometimes the track layouts may look a bit on the iffy side, but that's just from a personal viewpoint. The scenery detail on this route is pretty nice, but making scenarios is a bit of a pain. If the creator at least bothered to name the portals, adjust the signal spacing here and there, then I would be more inclined to recommend this, but at the moment, I'm sort of 50-50 on that, I'm afraid. Sorry. But I can at least see why people would like this route. No, really, that's the name of the route. What the hell? What are these assets doing here? Man, these contractors are terrible, man. Let's try and look around a bit more. Great to see scenery departments on strike. Oh, actually, no. There's got a really long platform here. And at this station here as well, just in case, you know, Eurostars need to stop. Yeah, that's good, I like that. Other than that, I mean, ignoring the machine gunned assets, there's really not much here. There's tracks, Kuju signals, there's some platforms, not really stations, they're just platforms. And yeah, embankments, and the end of the line. Cool. I do have to admire the dedication to the tunnel segments on the main tunnel section where there's no real tunnel assets. The creator has just plonked a line of bridges, and I'm not going to deny that's pretty creative. As you can tell by the video footage alone, it's really dark. I'm not cheating by using a solid colour in Vegas, it's really dark. I can definitely tell a train like the Class 313 would feel very at home on a route like this. There are open air sections as well. This station just feels like Drayton Park-ish. And if I was younger, I probably would have loved this route. It's just a route that's now fairly out of date. Though to be honest, the track work isn't nearly as bad as I was expecting it to be. There's just the odd few areas that just don't look good, in my opinion. But again, harmless enough. Probably would have used it a lot more back in my I guess, heyday of fictional routes. Well, this one's a bit awkward because there's nothing really wrong with the route. It's just very short. As in, it only has 2 intermediate stations and no signalling because it's all single line. To add, the route doesn't really have any interesting set pieces. Okay, one of the stations goes near the beach, and I think trains at the Class 150 and 143 Pacer work well enough, but yeah, I don't think it's awful, it's just too short for me to properly enjoy, I'm afraid. Sorry. Wow, this route looks really nice if you ask me. Whilst I'm not the biggest fan of GWR content because... No, not that, I mean GWR back in the old days. Well, specifically steamers, to be honest. I could at least see this as being right up the street for somebody who's interested in steam trains and coal and shoveling and stuff like that. To give Dovetail credit where credit is due, the assets on the backdated Riviera line are pretty good for this kind of route building era, and the creator of this route in my eyes has used them quite well. Signalling seems to be tight. A lot of areas do have some character to them, if you ask me. I especially like the 2 main terminus stations of Port Henry and Sheldon, respectively. I especially like the lattermost station. It definitely has that sort of GWR feel to it. The route does lack portals, however, and obviously being a steam route, you're not going to be going fast. So if you want to go fast, look somewhere else. But if you want to go to the seaside and go near a canal, then sure, I think you'll like this route. And that concludes today's workshop showcase. And to be honest, I think the content that I was looking at today was better than last time. One way to put it is, I don't feel like I've wasted my time for the most part. It's nice to see how other people build their routes compared to how I build my own routes, so I at least feel my time was well spent. Again, as I mentioned before, all the routes I've showcased here are linked in the description of the video if you want to check them out for yourself, regardless of if you agreed or disagreed with me. Now, at this point, I would just say thanks very much for watching and goodbye. However, there is obviously a very big amount of news that was announced whilst I was making the video. Train Sim is going 64 bits. You may have noticed a distinctive lack of enjoyment or enthusiasm in my voice. And the main reason why I'm not hyping over it is very simple. There has been no released footage of Train Sim 2019. I want you to understand that. That is the reason why I like to remain skeptical. 64-bit will mean absolutely nothing if the game is poorly optimized. A point well proven with a game called City Skylines, which I love, but I can't play because it's not really optimized that well. Mind you, I've got quite a lot of things installed, but still. Of course, Dovetail have created some articles for you to look over if you want to read more in depth for yourself. They're linked in the description. And the release date for Train Sim 2019, it's gonna be October the 11th. My birthday. They couldn't have picked a better day. Get to wake up, have McDonald's, come back home, and then this game will be updated with 64-bit technology. Until 64-bit Train Sim is properly released, I don't really want to go and generate any unnecessary hype. It's just completely unnecessary. I will, however, respond to one thing that people have been saying, and that is, a lot of people are obviously happy because they'll be able to build longer routes. Maybe be able to do the full length of the East Coast Main Line, for example. London to Edinburgh. There is a minor factor that you forgot to take into consideration. A single train driver is not expected to drive the entire length of London to Edinburgh. Not even freight trains are expected to drive the full length from, I don't know, let's say Moss End to Felixstowe. You know, drivers need breaks. Now, if you come up to me and say, well, yeah, of course, but I have a computer, so I'll just pause or save the scenario and then just continue back later, then why not just split the scenario into 2 parts? The result is the same. The better thing is it's just less AI to work with in one save file or one scenario at once, if you understand what I'm getting at. But yeah, that's pretty much all I'm really going to say about my personal thoughts regarding 64-bit Train Sim. Oh, here's a fun fact for you. If Dovetail kept the Railworks subtitle for this game, do you know what number Railworks we'd be on by now? Railworks 10. Bet you feel real old, don't you now? I know I said I'm not gonna give my full opinions on Railworks 10, because that's what it basically is, until it's fully released. I have seen some other YouTubers give their thoughts, which is perfectly fine. Even Alan Thompson has given his thoughts out. Why don't you guys tune in next week, or even earlier than that, and I might have a small bonus episode for you. Anyways, until I get to that, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode regardless, and I'll speak to you guys next time. Goodbye.